Elohei Arvo, Elohei Samar, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Lehad, Elohei Rahel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Hanura, Elon, Ba'el Hagadisadim, Bekoneh HaKol, V'zocher Te'otimahot, U'mevi Yulai B'nei Kahem, Leman Shalom Yahava.
So bring to Lechaim, Melech HaFetz B'Chaim, Lechaneinu, Chesed V'Chaim, L'Ma'an Elohim Chaim, Le'ozer Moshiach Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Yashvan Tzava. Yeah. Yeah, you're fine. We continue responsibly on page 30 in the middle.
Praise be to God, the God of our fathers and our mothers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, God of Sarah, God of Rebekah, God of Leah, God of Rachel, great, mighty, and awesome God, God of
Men are all living, ways are ways of love. You remember the faithfulness of our ancestors, and love and redemption to their children's children, for the sake of their great name.
who number us unto life, sovereign who delights in life, strike us with the Lord, for your sake, not life. You are our sovereign and our help, our Savior and our shield. Blessed be the Lord, shield greatly, protected and still. Great is your might,
Great one in this world, great is your power in the world beyond. Your love sustains your living, your great compassion is the source of life. Your power is in the help that comes to the falling, in the healing that comes to the sick, in the freedom that brings the captive, in the faith to keep with those who speak with us.
who is like unto you, mighty God, which you will offer by the dead, source of salvation.
Who is like you, source of mercy? In compassion you sustain us with the life of your children. We trust in you to restore our life. Blessed is the eternal one, source of all life.
Atakadosh v'shimcha kadosh v'yom ya'avlucha selah. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who strive to be holy declare your glory day by day. Please be seated. I'd like to call Courtney Henderson for while you're coming up here, because I just can't resist little asides about cool stuff in the mock sword here. So this section is for the Yusha Hayom, which is the holiness of the day. Like I said, there's a lot of sections in here that's like, why are we even here today, right? And this one is an insertion into, normally for holidays we do, why are we here today? But this one is, for Rosh Hashana, is really weird, because usually we just say, God is holy, right? If you imagine, look at that past line. Sorry, this is scattered, so I'm just kind of this now. So you don't really know what holy is from that last line I read, right? It could just be like, you are, random word, your name is some random word, and those who strive to be like that random word declare your glory day by day. It doesn't define holiness. And Rosh Hashana is the only time during the year we actually get 3 paragraphs that we try to attempt to define holiness. So I'm going to have 3 people come up and read different sections, but trying to do here is figure out what exactly does holiness mean. Sorry, go ahead.
Cause all your works to stand in awe before you, and all that you have made to tremble at your presence. Let all that live revere you, and all creation turn to you in worship. Let them all be found a single family, doing your will with a perfect heart. For well we know, eternal God, that yours is the majesty, yours the might, and awesome is your name in all creation.
Grant honor, Lord, to your people.
Glory to those who revere you.
Hope to those who seek you, and courage to those who trust you. Bless your land with gladness, and your city with joy, and cause the light of redemption to dawn for all who dwell on like to call upon Catherine for the next section.
Then the just shall see and exult, the upright be glad, and the faithful sing for joy. Violence shall rage no more, and evil shall vanish like smoke. The rule of tyranny shall pass away from the earth, and you alone, Lord, shall have dominion over all your work, as it is written.
The Lord shall reign forever. I'll be able to hold her name. I'll be able to see the next page.
You are holy, awesome in your name. There is no God but you, as it is written.
The God of all being is exalted by justice. The holy God is sanctified by righteousness.
Blessed is the Lord, the Holy King. In love and favor, O God, you have chosen us of all the people, hallowing us in your mitzvot. Our sovereign, you have summoned us to your service, that through us, the great and holy name may become known to all the earth. In your love, O God, you have given us in day of remembrance, hear the sound of the shofar, to unite in worship, and to recall the exodus from Egypt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll read this real quick. We got a caller or something. Thank you. Okay. Eloheinu v'Elokei Avotenu Ya'aleh v'Yavo v'Yizacher Zichronenu v'Zichron Kol Amcha Yisrael L'Fanecha L'Tova L'Chen U'Chesed U'Rachamim L'Chaim U'Shalom V'Yom HaZikaron Hazeh. So now we're going to have community blessings for us. So after I finish one line, say Amen, and then we'll read the English together at the very bottom. Zochreinu Adonai Eloheinu Bo L'Tova.
Amen.
Ufakdeinu Bo L'Bracha.
Amen.
Hoshienu Bo L'Chaim.
Amen.
Together.
O God,
God of all ages, be mindful of your people Israel on this day of remembrance, and renew in us love and compassion, goodness, life, and peace. This day remember us for well-being. Amen. This day bless us with your nearness. Amen.
This day help us to live.
Amen. Like to invite Flora Ellen. Okay. Okay. And yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, you got it. Our God and God of our ancestors, sanctify us with your mitzvot,
and let your Torah be our way of life.
satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. For you, O God, are truth, and your word is true forever. Blessed is the Lord, who hallows the house of Israel in the day of remembrance. Thank you.
Praises, O Lord our God, to the people of Israel, who are mercy above. Only our worship always be accessible. Most of the knowledge that you are here, to all the secrets and the pour out your spirit upon us. That our eyes behold your presence in the midst of the mercy.
Blessed is the Eternal, his presence is light to Zion and all Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shechinato l'tzion. We continue together on top of page 37. We faithfully acknowledge that
You are eternal God, God of our people, God of all generations. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age.
We thank you and sing your praises for our lives which are in your hands, for our souls which are in your keeping, for the miracles which are daily with us, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. Your goodness, your mercies never end. Your compassion, your love never fails. You have always been our hope.
All things are God that never but right above it in the earth soul. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, and all who live in the Lord, in your goodness,
We continue together on the top of page 38 for the prayer for peace in English. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country, that it may always be a stronghold of peace, and an advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within its borders, health and happiness within its walls. Strengthen the bonds of friendship among the inhabitants of all lands. May the love of your name power every home and every heart. Teach us, O God, to labor for righteousness and inscribe us in the book of life, blessing and peace. Blessed is the eternal God, the source of peace. So the Hebrew text listed under where it says silent prayer, when it was originally composed, it's in this section of rabbinic text that they asked, how do you end prayer? It's just a bizarre thing to do. You can't really, turn a phrase, drop the mic on God and walk away. And so what they come up with is they said, everybody's got to come up with their own thing. And they said, we'll just give you 7 or 8 examples. But then later, people stopped getting so good at that. The expression is that it's fluid in their mouths. Creating prayer spontaneously isn't fluid in their mouths anymore. So eventually we just went back to those 8. We said, yeah, that one sounds good. And we put it in there. But what we've done in this prayer book is to reclaim this idea of, maybe to end you really do need to come up with something. And it can take a minute, but we'll eventually get to something. So let's take a minute for our own thoughts and prayers. Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael, Imru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'yavo Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'yavo Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu v'yavo Yisrael. Imeru. So on page 40 we get to when people think of High Holiday liturgy, this is, it's 3 or 4 of them, but Avinu Malkeinu has got to be up there. And this is another one where it's kind of difficult for us to translate, right, given what we know about gender, given what we know about political power, really. What is it? I was just writing a paper of, we have this king language, and our conception, Queen Elizabeth II is much different image than Elizabeth I in terms of our conceptions of power and role. And so what happens when the metaphors we've been using in prayer change? And to that end, I kind of want to leave Avinu Malkeinu untranslated. So what I'd like to do is we're going to say Avinu Malkeinu together. I'll read a line in Hebrew, and then we'll respond together in English, but by saying Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have sinned against you, for example. And many people have tried to come up with different language to kind of capture this beauty, but I think sometimes leaving something untranslated and just letting the weird power of Hebrew kind of roll over you also works as well. There's a famous Israeli poet, Chaim Nachman Bialik, who said, reading something in translation is like kissing through a handkerchief. And I really do feel that with Hebrew sometimes, is that sometimes you just got to kind of let it sit for a bit. So we'll continue with Avinu Malkeinu on page 40. Please rise. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice.
Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, we have sinned against you.
Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Ba'al Aloleinu V'Chafenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our children.
Avinu Malkeinu Chale Dever V'Chera V'Ra'am Aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, we condemn to sickness, war, and famine.
Avinu Malkeinu Chale Kol Tsar Umastin Aleinu.
Avinu Malkeinu, we condemn to all oppression.
Avinu Malkeinu Kadvenu B'Sefer Chaim Tovim.
Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us with the blessing of the book of life.
Avinu Malkeinu Hadesh Aleinu Shana Tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, let the new year be a good year for us.
Avinu Malkeinu Harem Keren Yisrael Amecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, give strength to your people Israel.
Avinu Malkeinu Hanenu Ve'anenu Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim Aseh Imanu Tzedakah V'Chesed Hoshiyenu.
Avinu Malkeinu, be gracious and answer us. We have an open heart. Treat us generously and with kindness as we are God. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Anenu Anenu, Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim, Aseh Imanu, Tzedakah v'chesed, Aseh Imanu, Tzedakah v'chesed, Ve'oshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Hanenu V'Hanenu, Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim.
Please be seated. Okay, so I've decided to call this the Shofar's Time Machine, but we may need to work on the title. You have to let me know. Blowing the shofar is one of the most bizarre things we do. Once a year we all get together, dress up nicely, and sit very quietly while we haul out one part of a dead animal, turn it into an instrument, and then have Alana Jimux play it. But, oh, okay. Well, wait, it is tomorrow, but first, I just want to say as a little aside, we really need to thank Alana for what she did. It's actually good she's not here, because we can tell her later. She has really embodied the role of what it means to be a bat mitzvah, right? That it's not the end of your Jewish education, but you're becoming a full Jewish adult. She is blowing shofar for us tomorrow. I'm going to work with her. It's going to be wonderful. And we need to tell her Yasher Koach, which is a rabbinic expression for keep on keeping on, because you're wonderful. And please thank her tomorrow. Once a year we listen to this noise. Not Alana, but the shofar. In order to give it some meaning, and or to distract ourselves from the peculiarity of this, we read a couple of paragraphs around it for context. But before we even hear the shofar tomorrow, I'd like us to give a minute to reflect on the meaning of the shofar that the service shapes for us, what these paragraphs kind of create the shofar. We must reflect on this meaning in order to direct our hearts so that we can fulfill the mitzvah of hearing the shofar. Let's take a minute and go over this powerful phrase, direct our hearts to hear the shofar. Mishnah Rosh Hashana, one of the rabbinic texts that tells us how to do Rosh Hashana, brings us this idea of directing our hearts in order to hear the shofar properly. The Mishnah asks, what if you're walking outside the synagogue and it's Rosh Hashanah, and you hear the shofar? Does it count? Does it count that you heard the shofar for Rosh Hashanah? The answer is yes, but only if one kiven libo, directs his heart. The Mishnah continues by saying that even if you are inside, one of the good little Jews sitting in services all day long, praying really well, that if you don't direct your heart, you don't really hear the shofar. So our goal here is to better direct our hearts by looking at the verses that frame our shofar service. Please turn with me to page 149 of your Machzorim so that we can all look at this together. 149. So we'll discuss how this section of the service kind of works together a little bit more tomorrow, but I wanted us to really look at it. Many of you who haven't met me yet, I really feel that the Siddur, the Machzor, is the most frequently used Jewish book that we never talk about. We never really explain what it means, how to pray, or what tefillah education is, or why in the world we're even reading this. So that's what I want to try to do a little bit this high holiday season with you. So look at the English on page 149. The verses around each section of the shofar service follow a pattern that we learned about from the same source we learned kiven libo, direct your heart, Mishnah Rosh Hashanah. For some background, there are three sections of the Hebrew Bible, or Tanakh. Torah, the first 5 books, Nevi'im, the prophets, and Ketuvim, the writings. In order to frame our shofar service, the rabbis looked for verses throughout the Bible that mentioned the theme of that section. In our case here, the word shofar. They scanned through the entire Bible and said, find me some lines that say the word shofar in that, and maybe that will give us an insight on what exactly a shofar is or is supposed to do. Our Machzor has one verse from each of these sections and concludes with a 4th verse from prophets. So to recap, we have 4 verses here, Torah, writings, and prophets twice, all of which have the shofar in them. And this isn't the normal order that we find the rest of the Bible. It should go Torah, prophets, writings. But because it's out of order, that makes me think they wanted us to really look at why it was out of order a little bit. The verses around the shofar section here form the shofar into a powerful tool, a time machine. When the shofar sounds, we hear 3 eras: the shofar of the past, the shofar of the present, and the shofar of the future. Look at the first verse from Torah. Can somebody read that for us? From the Torah proclaims. Yeah.
The Torah proclaims the 3rd day dawn of Sinai, showing thunder and lightning against the cloud of the mountain, and the loud blast of the trumpet. People tremble.
This shofar of the past first transports us back to Sinai, where the description of the revelation of God prominently features the sound of the shofar. When I was a kid at my first high holiday service, I remember my parents telling me that we were going to some place called Shul and talk to God. We drove about half an hour to get to where God lived, on 65th Street Meridian. So I'm told I passed the time during the service trying to teach myself Hebrew using the transliteration. Even back then, someone should have known what I was supposed to be doing here. But the part that I remember most strongly about that first Erev Rosh Hashana was the sound of the organ. When I heard the organ at that place where God lived, I assumed a sound that powerful and filling must be God speaking back to us. This is the power of the shofar of the past, both at Sinai and our own past Rosh Hashanahs. The shofar's job is to cause remembrance. I'm thinking about our Torah reading tomorrow, the Akedah, or binding of Isaac. In this story, we will learn that a ram will serve in Isaac's place as a sacrifice. This is why we choose a ram's horn to be our time machine. This is why we need this precise noise. The Jews could have picked bagpipes, another dead animal that makes a noise that one needs to be acculturated into, but we needed this animal to remind us of this difficult story. The shofar of the past doesn't only remind us of that first moment on a mountain. Let's think back to our past Rosh Hashanahs. Really take a minute, close your eyes if you want, and really think back. Where were we in our lives? Who were the loved ones that we were with? And what did we say we would try to do better? This is the power of the shofar of the past. It causes remembrance. The shofar of the present makes its case through this middle verse from Psalms, back on page 149. Could someone read this from the Psalmist Affirms? Go for it. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. The Eternal One amid the sound of the shofar. We read from this verse that God did not just speak out of the shofar that one time at Sinai, via the shofar of the past. No, we hear God's voice each and every time we hear the shofar. Think about what that means for us as we gather as a Kehillah, a holy community, tomorrow. Come to think of it, I don't think 5-year-old Ben was that off about the shul being a place where we invite God's presence into our lives, via the shofar. The shofar of the present begs these questions. What are we doing here? What are we doing this year to make Rosh Hashana sacred? What can we continue to do to make Orthodox a sacred community? And how can I, me right now in the moment, how can I hear the shofar with my heart directed tomorrow? This last section, proclaiming the shofar of the future, takes its cue from the prophets. The shofar of the future describes our future redemption and the various wonderful manners in which it will take place. We read in our verse from Isaiah here, the prophet declares, "All you who dwell on earth, who inhabit the world, when a banner is raised, take note, and when a shofar is sounded, take heed." Another verse from elsewhere in the prophets that also has shofar in it explains that the ingathering of the exiles, the first part of the Messianic era, takes place at the sound of the shofar. It's the starting gun for the Messianic era. But this is all eschatological prophesying, meaning end of days predictions. So what does this big version of the future have to do with us? This end times material isn't a kind of Torah that speaks to us anymore. Many of you know that in college, the concentration of my religious studies degree was late antiquity, so early Christianity, middle Judaism is what we would have called it. And this era is filled with apocalyptic eschatology, meaning visions of history ending in a usually violent manner. Today we kind of call this thing an apocalypse, but one of these days we'll do a Sunday chat on how that's not the best term. But stay tuned. I had a professor who best explained the context of why these end of time stories, like they don't speak to us. Who did this speak to? He explained it by saying, happy people don't write apocalypses. And that's kind of the case for us. We're pretty happy, comfortable as American Jews. What do we do with these sections of prophetic text that don't really speak in our religious language anymore? Let's take this idea, though, that God signals our redemption, this time of perfect peace with the shofar we hear, the shofar of the future. What can we take of this shofar of the future right now? That the call of the shofar of the future still ingathers the exiles by metaphorically bringing us home. The call of the shofar is, again, what brought us and gathered us here tonight. The call of the shofar gathers the exiles by bringing us home. Home to our mission of working for a better world. This is the shofar of the future. The sound of the shofar is a constant that allows us to pinpoint our full trajectory. When we hear the shofar, we hear Sinai. When we hear the shofar, we hear this new year. When we hear the shofar, we hear redemption. The verses we looked at beautifully craft the shofar into this time machine. But I will say there is a particular element to the shofar of the present that our verses don't address. However, our service tomorrow will keep trumpeting this point. Excuse the pun. The ultimate job of the shofar of the present, this action that we will take tomorrow, is to wake us up. Wake us up so that we may hear all three shofarot, past, present, and future, and take action in our lives. I'll close with a quote by my teacher at HUC, one of the Gedolei Hador, giants of the generation, Rabbi Richard Levy. He explained that the beauty of the shofar, the fact that as a wind instrument, we basically need to spit into it to make it make some kind of sound. It's kind of a gross instrument. But from this instrument, we can learn a valuable lesson for this new year. That when we blow the shofar, we put in our own limited human abilities, and it produces a sound that's majestic. May we sound the shofar of our lives, the shofar of the Jewish people